Sometimes email feels like a bit of a legacy technology, but it is so powerful, both for your professional and your personal project. The ability to email to reset passwords for users and have that delivered to them, or emailing yourself the results of a web scraping. We can use Node to integrate with a variety of mail sending protocols and keep both your users and yourself up to date. Hi, I'm Kevin. Welcome to Do Learning, where we do to learn and learn by doing. Let's dive in. I start with a completely empty folder and project, and I'll run npm init-y to start that project. That creates my package.json. And the project I'm going to use is called Node Mailer. I've been using this project for a long time and I think it's great. It's flexible, it's small, and it does everything I want to do and nothing more. I love that it has zero dependencies, which means I'm able to see very clearly what's going on in the code and be able to use it with confidence. So let's install it. npm I node mailer. And I'll create my send email. So I want to send an email first of all. I'll then want to show how I might send it to multiple recipients. And lastly, I want to show how to send attachments, both inline and not. So let's start off by importing Node Mailer. This is going to be an asynchronous operation. So I'll create an async function called start maybe, and then I'll invoke that at the bottom. So Node Mailer allows us to create what they call transporters. The ability to be able to transport our mail in different ways. We configure the transporter, and then the transporter itself has a method called sendMail that we'll be able to use as we want to send mail. So let's see how that goes. So I'm going to create a transporter, and that's nodemailer.createTransport. And that takes a variety of configuration. First, it takes a host. If you're using Gmail, you'll want to get these SMTP settings here and use those to be able to configure here. So smtp.gmail.com. I use a service called Fastmail, so I'm going to use that. Its port for Fastmail is 995. I'm going to set secure to true, which is normal for most of our mail platforms. And then I need to give it some auth. So I pass in the user, which will be normally your email address. Mine is going to be fastmail@kevincunningham.co.uk. My password, which is unique for this particular application. I'll be deleting this password afterwards, so that's why I feel comfortable sharing it. So with that, I've created my transporter. I can now await my transporter and allow it to send some mail. Now that returns some information about the sent mail, so I'll capture that in the variable. And first of all, I'm going to send a from, and that's going to be node server, followed by, in angled brackets, its email address, so node@kevincunningham.co.uk. Our to address, I'm going to send to testingnode@kevincunningham.co.uk. Our subject, which I might say testing 123. And then it can take a HTML string. Now, emails are notorious for being hard to style because there's so many different email providers. For the web, we have CSS and a small number of browsers, not so much with email. So it's good to stay as simple as possible. And often we have to do layout with things like tables, which we used to do, but we don't have to do mostly in the web now. I'm just going to send a h1 tag that's going to say hello. And then maybe a paragraph tag that says, I've sent this email from Node.js. Close that tag. And lastly, I'll console log info.messageID, which will be the ID of the message that's been sent. So I'll run that code. I get the message ID. And in my email client, I can see to testing node at Kevin Cunningham. Hello, I've sent this email from Node.js, and it's come from fastmail@kevincunningham.co.uk. If I want to send to multiple users, I can just pass in an array of email addresses rather than a single value. So I can say to also testing at kevincunningham.co.uk and run that again. And then my email, get one to testing and also testing, and it's arrived to both of those email addresses. The last thing then is attachments. How do I send images or PDF documents or anything else that might have been generated by my server? How can I send that on? So I've got this cute cat picture that I want to send. And so in my email, I'll say attachments. Attachments takes an array of objects which have the file name. I'll just call it cat.jpg and the path. And that's just cat.jpg. I'll send that. So now hello, and then it downloaded the image and here it is here, ready to go. But what I can also do is I can also have it inline. At the moment, my email client brings all the attachments to the bottom, but I might want to have the image inline. So how do I do that? So the first thing is I may give it a content ID. So I might call it a cat ID, like that. In my HTML, I use the image tag and the source attribute. And the source attribute starts with CID for content ID, and then a unique ID that we've given the image. So now if I send, when it arrives, the image is in between the hello and the text. It's where we wanted it to be. So there you go. We can send email to single or multiple users. We can send attachments, either inline or just attached. And they can be images, PDFs, or anything else that your server might generate. Or we could use email to send password reset links or anything else that makes our user's journey easier. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please subscribe, and I hope to see you in future videos. Thanks. Bye.